She speaks with power. She speaks with grace. Truth from a black woman's place. From our lives, from our view, we bring the real story straight to you. Elena Sanders, Adria Butler, Maya Allen, Tim Walleye, Phillips too. For real voices, one clear sound. She speaks is life. We are standing proud. She speaks true. She speaks life. Black women shining bold and bright. She speaks. She leads. We came through. Real conversation made for you. She speaks from a black woman's perspective.
Welcome to She Speaks, where we have real conversations from a black woman's perspective. I am Deetra Butler.
I am Elena Sanders.
I'm Maya Allen.
And Tamala Phillips.
Today's conversation is tender, necessary, and deeply personal for many families. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the case of Nolan Wells out of Mississippi. Anytime a young person leaves home and doesn't return, it shakes everything in a parent. Every auntie, grandparent, teacher, coaches, and every person who's ever loved that child. We want to be clear. This is not about spreading rumors. This is not about making assumptions, and it's definitely not about disrespecting the family in any way. This is about asking questions that families and communities ask when a young life is lost and when people are waiting for answers. How do we teach our children to move safely in this world? How do we do that? Go ahead.
Deidre, it's hard. How do we talk to our children about safety, accountability, friendship, and whether or not they'll see justice? And, in cases like the Nolan Wells case, it reminds us how fragile life can be. When I first heard this story, it really hurt my heart. And I don't know them. Of course, everybody doesn't know everybody, but it could have been my child, but it was somebody that looked like my child. And being from Iowa, I can't say that I was in similar situations, but I understand those type of situations, right? And then it goes back to what I was taught, right? And where I was raised. I'm not originally from Iowa. I'm originally from Kentucky, which is not really considered the South, but to me it is. Just living up north, to me, Kentucky is still considered South, and now we're in Georgia. So I understand it. And I had to step away for about a week or so just to mentally, get myself together. And then now recently I'm trying to, catch back up on all the updates because it's been a month. It's been a whole month.
And still there are no answers.
Right.
No answers. So I'm seeing a lot of evidence with no, I wouldn't say evidence. I'm seeing a lot of information that's coming up to where I see there should be some type of convictions,
Right.
And I know I'm not an attorney. I know Deidre is, but I know that's not your case. But it's just that the stuff that I'm seeing, even from the videos, from some what the friends have said, and even the call, the 911 call, hearing all of those various things, it puts things in perspective and makes me think, as a Black woman, as a mother, have we really progressed as a race? Have we really gone past what our ancestors have gone through, or those who have been there before us? Are we still in that day and age? Because we should have it to where our children can go with anybody of any race, racial persuasion or whatever, and not feel like being a person of color that I have to watch my back every time, especially if I'm the only one in the room. I got to always watch my back. And how do you have that conversation as mothers? We all are mothers with your children who you may see have friends who are non-melanin, who are not Black, and they are surrounded around those who are not Black. How do you have that conversation? You don't want to think that way, But based on history, you have to have the conversations. And I would love to hear that from you as mothers. Like for my daughter went to a PWI. And people, for those who don't know what that means, that's a predominantly white institution. And so she came from a county that's majority African American. So, of course, even though she's been around me and we've been around all types of races and cultural backgrounds, it is kind of sort of a culture shock. So I had to have those conversations, and thank God that her university had something called Iowa Edge, to where they had to where all the cultures were able to stay in the same dorm together, because they knew that can be a culture shock to various cultures. But how do you have those conversations as mothers with your children?
Right, right. It's very difficult, but I try to be very transparent. Where I live, it's majority white. So I try to be very transparent with my son and let him know to be proud of who he is, and don't let any of these children here on our block disrespect him, talk down to him in any way. And that there is an issue to always come to me or his dad. Again, I try to be very transparent. I'm glad that I did change schools. Where he is now, there are more blacks, and the principal is black, and they take better care of him. While when he was at another school, majority white, I get a phone call every day about his behavior, and it's just silly things, because you don't know how to educate a black boy, or how to discipline or speak to him. So I try to be, again, I try to be very transparent with Bryce about black and white. Because my husband brought this up today. How do we have that conversation with him when he starts to want to hang out? He's only 8 right now, so thank God he don't have that issue where he's gonna be hanging out in the streets or going, to different activities where I'm not there. So, once he gets older, we will have to sit down with him and have that conversation. And I think I sent you all an article where a mother had to sit down with his friend, who was a mother whose child, a black mother, excuse me, whose friend, his son had a white friend, where she had to sit down with the parents and hold them accountable because he wanted to go with them or spend the night at their house. So we have to start sitting down with the children's parents as well. And I thought it was a great idea, because we also have to hold those parents accountable as well, because they're in the hands of, our child is in their hands, and they should be held accountable when they are, with their friends or whatever. We need allies, basically.
But
So
you know what I think?
Why do we,
Go ahead.
that so irritates me, because why do we have to have allies? Anybody can come into our community and be accepted. Like you say, invite them to the cookout,
Cookout.
right?
A good cookout.
They invited to the
because
cookout,
that's how
and
God made us.
and they have
We're
no
not
worries.
evil. We're not
Oh,
evil. We weren't born evil.
oh,
But you know
God
what? I
it
made
think
just
us.
that
does something
Okay.
to me.
and I think that we may be getting a little bit far off, because I don't think anyone was born evil, but I think that in this country there are norms that have been established from the beginning of this country that has put a label on certain classes of individuals. I think so with the case of your children not coming home. I think as parents of color, there are conversations that we have to have that a lot of other people do not have to have, right? And I think that those conversations are required regardless of who your child leaves with. In the case of Nolan Wells, he left with a group of friends who were of a different race than him. But even if our children are leaving with all of their friends who are the same race, it's the same issue as to whether or not that child will come home. It's not so much black and white. It's
Right. Right.
that Black children don't come home far too often, and that's regardless of who they leave with. They can have an encounter with with law enforcement. They can have an encounter, with any community member, and that will go. It tends to go awry more for really young Black males, but Black females too, because you have Breonna Taylor was sleeping
Taylor
in
in,
bed. You
in
have
Louisville,
Sandra.
Kentucky.
You have Sandra Bland. You have what's the lady's name who was in her kitchen? She was cooking, and she was kind of
Had a
executed.
The mental
episode.
Mm-hmm.
And she was executed in her kitchen. So these are conversations that do need to be had, right, with our children, because we want them to leave and then to come back the same way that we sent them out the door, right? We don't want to knock on the door. We don't want a message or a messenger. We want the safe return of our loved ones. So I think that we, to make this a productive conversation, what is it that we can give to the people, that will kind of help to the people and ourselves, that will help us kind of steer things in a different direction. And I know, why do we have to do it? I don't know why we have to do it, but I do know that we have to do it. We have to do something, or else these are conversations that will just repeat and repeat and repeat.
Exactly.
So, ladies.
Yes.
So when you just embarking on the part of the why we, it's not only just why we, it's always why we as Black women have to do it. To me, I feel it that way. That's just my opinion. Because
I think that Black men and Black fathers suffer that same way, right? There are conversations I know with my little boy, there are conversations that his father has. They have it differently, it kind of starts, hey man, and then it seems a little more, you know, conversational, or less advice, but more, we just hanging out, but let me talk to you for a minute. But I think that they have those conversations, right? So I think that this is a community. I think that as a community, we have to address what it is that we can do, what conversations do we need to have? What information do we need to make sure that they are, almost like an exam. I'm going to have to quiz you on this before you leave the house. What is it that we can say or do? When I was younger, when we left, it was always a group of us, but we were told, hey, whoever you leave with, you make sure you leave out this door, you come back with those people. Nobody leaves anybody. Nobody takes any side destinations or alternative return times or methods home. You leave together, you come together. You come together, you leave together.
But
So
also to that point, Deidre, is back in the day, we talked to our neighbors. We knew each other.
everybody
Like,
knows.
our parents knew my
That's
friend's
true.
mother and father to be comfortable to allow me to go over to their house. They had the conversation with them. And with my parents being teachers, they probably taught everybody in the neighborhood, so they knew some of the people, but everybody was talking. You talk to your neighbors. Now with this communication that we have going on now, nobody talks to anyone. I'll be honest with you, just it is not going off on the topic, but I've been living in my subdivision almost 20 years, and I cannot even tell you all of my neighbors.
Right. So we need to return to the village concept, kind of, right?
Exactly.
We do need that village. We really cannot do this stuff in a bubble. We can't. Not
And not even more so my neighbors, even people that lived in the town that I lived in. I knew these people because we had a conversation. We did things together. It was events where somebody got to know, and we knew when somebody was new in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, we never seen them before. You know them.
So then we made an effort to go meet them too, though.
Exactly.
We invite.
I don't know about all that.
In the village.
Well,
We
you was
did.
you were up north. We the southern. Well, I know in the south, we made those efforts to make sure that
We brought
we
the
got
people
an
in, and I'm not
opportunity.
from the
We
South.
was
I
gonna
am
we was
not from
gonna
the
meet
South.
those people. We was gonna have the conversation.
Well, if you come outside and we see you, we gonna see.
I know it's different between the
Hey, I'm
northern and the
so and
south.
so. We ain't ringing doorbells
We
now.
knocked on doors. We did all that.
And
Yeah.
when you
We
moved
did
in the neighborhood, they brought you stuff. Hey,
brought you
welcome
bring
to the
Little
stuff.
pound
That's
neighborhood.
cake, a little something, just even though it's being nosy, but we got to know who you were, who you are in the neighborhood. We want to know a little
Right,
something, where you
right.
came from. And I think that dynamics has been lost because of we don't talk anymore. We don't have that communication anymore. And so now I'm hearing even from parents that they don't even trust even their children going over. I hear this nowadays. I
Yeah,
don't
they
let my child
don't.
go by nobody's house. And
Yep,
so
I
now
hear
it
that a
messes
lot.
up the social skills of the child, and they're gonna always be in their phones and not have those communication skills because
Right.
parents are now really scared to even allow their children to even go to their friend's house.
Yeah.
That's because
Yeah,
you
but
don't
what
know
came
what's
first, though?
going on
Exactly.
in the other house and who's coming through. I might know you and your daddy, but if I don't know who's coming over to visit and who y'all, that's a no. Y'all come over here if y'all want to hang out.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like, did we stop sending people because of the things that were happening, or did these things start happening and then we stopped sending them? It's a circular argument. But we have to figure out a way to come back together. Now I know we off on a tangent. I don't got all my
I
I know,
know.
I'm gonna
right?
It's
bring
all
us
right.
back
It's
in.
all right.
I'm reeling us back
Because
in,
I know
y'all.
I do that all the
Bring
time.
us on back.
I think we did touch on how we talk to them though. But
Yeah.
what about, how do we tell them about what friendship is and the different social settings and being aware of your surroundings. Like
You have
put
to
that
be.
phone down.
Exactly.
And
I
and
tell my daughter that all the time.
They're not aware.
and I know that drinking is popular and some other things may be popular, but really when you're not at home and with your family, like people who know and are truly invested in you, mama and daddy and siblings, auntie and them, you know your
You don't
social
know
drinking is a
what.
Coke it's a Coke or a Dr. Pepper, whatever your beverage, water. Um, you put some bubbles in there, a Shirley Temple. It doesn't matter, if you want to look like you got something in your hand, but you have to be aware of surroundings. So how do we have those conversations?
Well, I could just embark on when my daughter left to go to college and the conversations I had, even the point where I said, if you had a drink and you set it down, leave it there. Don't go pick it back up. Go get another drink, And she did ask me why, and I explained because I have individuals in my neighborhood who that happened to where they have some mental illness issues because something was slipped in their drink, to that point. And so, with her being the only child, she's kind of more trustworthy because she don't have anybody else but me or whatever, our aunts or whatever. And so I had to really explain those things to her because she was going to be 12 hours away and I couldn't, while she's gone, my mama bear couldn't be there. So I had to explain to her those various things about her surroundings. And she was a big person of always having those iPods in her ear. Even walking, I said, when you are on campus, and I know it's still part of the safety of children, when you are on campus, you don't know who's behind you, beside you, because those iPods have noise cancellation. You don't know what's happening.
Right.
So I had to sit down and have those conversations with her, even from friends, because she is so giving because she's an only child, and I have to tell her, when you talk about what friendship look like, I said, well, if you're doing all the giving and nothing's coming back in return, that's not friendship. Because she always had these conversations. I let so and so borrow this, and I gave this to so and so, and I said, so what happened? So
Right.
what did so and so do? Did they help out with something? I have to explain that to her, that friendship is not a one-way street, so there has to be some give and take and vice versa. And so I had to have those conversations with her because she was going so far away with people I didn't know who they were, and I don't know their backgrounds and how they were brought up. And it was going to be multiple cultures, as I say, that she was going to a PWI. And so especially on an institution that probably is 5-6% minority. And so I had to have those conversations, and she was going to an area that was not was kind of the city where the school was progressive, but the area was not so progressive. So I had to have those conversations, even during the point when an organization came into play with our immigrants, and I'm not going to say the name, that was
Right.
happening on her school, and she
So
had to
sad.
call me and ask me about why they're picking up certain people, you know.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
those questions is conversations I had to have, and she was literally scared because she's like, why are they picking up certain people, and why they not, what's going on, Mom, what do I have to do, you know. And these are really hard conversations that you have with minority children. And and I think people don't understand this. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because people don't realize the conversation we have with our minority children is not the same conversation that some may have with their non-minority children. And
Mm.
I think it's the
so
conversations we have to have, though.
we
It's not
have to have,
so
yeah.
much that, you know what I mean? It's not one we enjoy, and it's not one to make them cruel or to make them exclusive or, reclusive even. It's just a matter of safety, and how do we balance that to make sure that we're not sending the wrong message, right? How do we do those things? Like, how do we not instill fear, and at the same time, make sure they know how to stay safe.
Right.
So with my son, I have another element to throw in there because he's on the spectrum. And because he's on the spectrum, social cues and other things that most people may pick up on, he may not. But what he does have is good intuition and good
Nice.
discernment.
Nice.
And so that might be at a higher level than most people. And I say that because he had some issues at school, but when I spoke to the counselor in a non-formal setting, she told me that my son was right. The ones he had a problem with or had a problem with him, they wasn't quite right. And my son knew that, but he didn't know how to, as a child, express himself. So it came over differently, if you know what I mean. But what he probably said was correct if had he been an adult, right? Because he read them.
Right.
So so with him, I have to keep it real simple. And for those that really know me, they know I talk a lot of slang. So what I tell my son is sucker living is hard. If you're gonna be out here and be a sucker, that's hard living. Because what you do have to understand, I said everything black ain't right and everything white ain't wrong.
Right.
You gotta look at people on how they treat you and how they address themselves to you. And how they may express themselves to somebody else, you may not experience that, right? But I do have to make it clear about our history.
Right. That
right?
part.
History repeats itself. It does. And if America, which it hasn't, has not acknowledged all that is done to the African American people in the United States of America, right? We know that by what's going on today. But I have to be real careful because my son would be like, Mom, you're a racist. And I'm like, no, I'm not a racist by any means, stretch of the imagination. What I am is somebody that's very knowledgeable about where we came from, right? And how we got to where we are today. And that we have a certain responsibility, right? Every generation has a responsibility, right? To make it better. But you can't be out here and don't know where you came from in your history because you'll get caught up. Or you think you've gotten to a certain level. So I know some people like that too. You know, I'm to a certain level. I have this, I have that. You know, we don't have to worry about that until it comes knocking at your front door.
Exactly.
Right? And so when we get back to the Nolan Wells story, they are coming after his mama.
Yes.
That's the part that's
they're coming after her son is. They're coming after her mama to try to get her to stand down.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that part.
The
Oh,
nursing board
yes.
of Mississippi.
They come
Yes.
to her
The
job,
nursing
everything.
board of Mississippi. This ain't somebody off in the woods somewhere. This is an official board. It's coming after his mama. And that ain't nothing but somebody called somebody that called somebody that called somebody that said put the pressure on so she'll stop the pressure
Right.
that's coming.
Right. But I believe they dropped that though. I believe the board dropped it.
They did because it became
Yeah.
publicized and
National
everything.
news.
Right.
And
But
yes.
national news.
Yeah.
And apparently I missed that
So
whole
But they didn't have
nationwide.
any evidence. So
yeah, so
you
they
did
were she's a
anything
whole
wrong.
nurse.
But
Been a whole nurse for 20 years, ain't never had a complaint, but all of a sudden her
National
son
complaints.
don't come home and she questioning why they stories don't make sense as to why her son don't come home and now
Right.
she incompetent in her
That was
whole
the
career.
problem. Right.
but
I
but
think that careers and things of that nature can be used as a tool of the powerful to silence unfavorable to them comments and commentary conversations, right? So certain things are restricted. Certain things I cannot say and will not say.
Right.
Not that it's a tool, but because what I do requires neutrality.
That's
which is
right.
why I keep bringing it back to the center. But we know that mob mentality is a tool that has been used through the ages to get compliance with whatever compliance looks like, and that also is not limited to just a different race. We do that to one another. We destroy one another as much as others do. But we talking about something else today. Y'all gonna have to stop
we
letting
need to
me
write
go.
that topic down and we're gonna
Yeah, y'all gonna have to stop letting me go off on
Private
a tangent.
we
battle.
need to make sure.
Yeah, keep me on track. But so we have a young man who went on a 4th of July trip with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody comes back except him.
Mm-hmm.
And 4th of July, his mom, doesn't come home. Mom is wondering, asking where he is. His truck and keys were found somewhere. Cell phone was missing. When the cell phone was turned over, there were, according to reports, because I haven't seen one single solitary thing, there were messages and things that were missing. And so those are some of the questions that people have. And so those are some of the things I think that we should address tonight. So, and I don't mean speculate about the case because we don't know any, to my knowledge, we don't have any evidence, and
Right.
and we don't know whether this information is official, although we do know that some of it is, or if this is, speculation. But these are the questions that need
Well,
answers.
yeah, and I don't know, Elena, you mentioned it earlier about the phone call. And I think several people have tried to decipher that phone call, from Tasha K to what's the lady that does the court shows, uh Nancy Grace.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
She's
I've
it.
been
yeah,
watching her
she
commentary.
yeah, she's even has some commentary regarding that. And I'm not too clear on the conversation, but what I'm almost certain of is nobody leaves their friend behind when it's a group. I mean, it just doesn't normally happen,
Well, does that just
right?
happen with that? You think it just happened with our culture, or you think it's a culture thing, or it's
No,
a friend thing?
no. So I told you I grew up in Iowa, right? So they used to go out to Saylorville, do bonfires and drink and do all kinds of stuff, right? I wasn't going, right? But I know they all left together. Not one time did somebody say, "Oh, we left so and so behind because they wanted to." That don't happen. If one person stays, somebody gonna stay with them. Nobody stays by themselves. And just think if it were you and you the 1% out there on some water with some boats, and you're not gonna leave with the people you came with. You know you
Exactly.
don't know them other people.
But do we know that he doesn't know them? Because it's like that was the community. So this, I don't know who he knew,
Right.
but I do know
He
that
didn't know him like that.
well, he didn't come back with who he left with. So I think that there's some basic safety things that have to, and then when that doesn't happen, then there are questions, right? But
Yes.
I think we have to recognize, and then I'm gonna be quiet for real. I'm gonna stay on. I got a whole script, but
It's okay. It's okay.
um, we have to recognize that this child is not just his mother and father's child. This is everybody's child. And he's not just the Black community's child. He's America's child. He's the world's
That's
child.
right.
And so
That's right.
as a people, and not just as a Black people, but as a people, as parents, as human beings, from one human being
Yes.
to another, we have to be able to see the humanity in everybody and understand that grief and that hurt and that need that family has, that sustaining need that they have for answers to know what happened, because their child is never coming home, right? And if we start from there, it doesn't matter what you look like. So like Miss Rachel, I saw something on a social media post recently. Miss Rachel said something to that effect, like the parents need answers. We need to know what happened to this child. And now she's got threats. She's
She
got,
canceled.
they're attempting to cancel her because she said what humanity would require, which is, I feel for these parents, there need to be answers. And it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter where you come from. This is a child, this is our child, and he is not coming home. What happened? Right? He didn't, this what,
And who's crucifying her?
everybody.
Who's
The internet,
everybody?
I take that back because I'm not, but the internet, right? She's gotten a lot of hate. And
Yeah, but that's the same hate that says, that's the same hate that says to me. That's the same hate that says, that's the same hate that says, I can't say what I want to say, Jesus.
I'm trying to think of the right word.
That's the same hate that allows people to truly believe that nothing nefarious happened that day. To me.
I think then the question to that would be, do you really think that people believe nothing nefarious happens? Or do they just want to convince you to think that nothing nefarious happened?
So I believe that the people not familiar with the situation of the other persuasion think nothing happened. That's what I think. I think that people that are familiar with those that are close to the incident, they know something happened and they trying to cover it up. That's just me. That's what I think.
Right.
I do not believe that anybody believes that nothing nefarious happens. I do believe that people want it to go away. They want the situation to go away. They want it to be forgotten about and to go away. I think that when persons are accustomed to a certain level of privilege,
There you go.
that point of privilege that they intend to invoke that point of privilege no matter what comes up. So whether I get a traffic ticket or there's an unexplained death, I have a point of privilege that I'm going to invoke. So let it go. But I find it hard to believe that many folks believe that nothing nefarious happened. It's just, that's my point. That's my point of view, my the personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just want it to go
And
away.
and you're probably right. Those people know that something happened, but you say it long enough and you say it loud enough, it becomes true
Comes
to
true
them.
to them. Yeah, it becomes
All
true.
right, come on, y'all.
So,
So it says, what responsibility are what does responsible community support look like in this case? Like, for instance, what
right.
we as a community should be doing to support the family, support the situation. What should we be doing to make it known? I think that is truly being done right now. You have all these influencers that are talking about it, that's keeping it alive. I can't think of the other lady that talks about it all the time. I think she's from Mississippi and breaks it down. And as you mentioned, Maya, earlier about allies, there are some allies, and no, that was Tamala was mentioning about allies, and Maya said, "Why do we have to always have the allies?" But basing it on the allies, there are some that are out there on the social media platforms that are speaking up about it and saying it's wrong, that something did happen, that something did occur, even to the far, even though Nancy Drew is in the area of criminal justice, she's taken it upon
Mm-hmm.
herself to speak on it, and there's a lot of people that's doing commentary and content around this topic, so it will not die, so it will not go away. And I
Thank you, Lord.
we thank them for that. And even with the attorney Crump, who actually putting his time into it, and some of the activists are making sure it does not go away, because it does feel like, I know for me being a mother, it feels like that's my son, or that could have been my son. So I take it personally because I feel the pain, even though God, I pray nothing like that happens to anyone that's close to me. But I feel her. I can sympathize. I can't empathize, but I can sympathize on what a mother goes through losing a child, especially before their time. And that I believe he had a bright. I know he had a bright future. I think he had a scholarship somewhere. I believe. I
He
can
was
remember.
playing football at a JUCO, I think. But from what I understand, he was a outstanding athlete, and he also was a scholar. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, nothing but a bright future is what it looked like.
And
Exactly.
as a parent, that's what I'm getting tired of seeing our children leaving too soon and not being able to have to see the next day. And that's no parent wants to go through that. Even we had a situation like that here in Newton. Maya, I don't know if you remember when they had the senior absentee day, or what it day at one of the parks, and
Yep,
the kids got into it,
yep,
and one a graduate, he was
I
yep,
graduating,
remember that.
couldn't
Yep.
make it across
yep.
the stage because he lost his life at the senior, what would they call it,
Skip day,
skip day,
senior
yeah.
skip day.
So I know that
Wow.
a parent who's preparing to go to graduation, who paid for the cap and gown already, because I think it was a week before graduation,
Yep,
invitation sent
yep.
out, you looking to see your son walk across the stage, your family
Right.
coming in, and it doesn't happen because of situations of this magnitude, some type of, and I think well, I don't know. I'm not going to say the story, but anyway, no parent wants to go through that. As a parent, you do not want to go through that. But as community, what should,
Right.
besides what's on social media, what should we be doing? What does community look like to you all?
We need to have more conversations.
Do we have to involve people of other persuasion, or is it just amongst us?
No, I think 100%. I think it's,
Everybody
yeah,
needs to
he's
be in this
everybody's child.
conversation.
Yeah, he's
Right.
everybody's child. I think that I actually think we should break down the walls, because it's not about the color of his skin or anything about
Right.
it. This is our child as the world. Uh,
Right.
But it didn't happen to nobody else's child. Okay, okay. Let me flip it. Let's
Okay.
just say it was a group of Black kids that went where they go. Uh,
Horn
uh,
Island, Horn Island
okay, so
on the boat.
where did the Black Beach Week or something?
Okay.
And
Oh gosh.
I'm just saying, and and somebody of the other persuasion goes, and they don't come back home to their mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you right now, law enforcement, media, and the community response would be different.
Yes, of
And
course.
so
But
it's
that would
hard.
also be our
So
child. That would be
it's
our
still
child.
our child, but they're gonna get a different response. They're gonna get a different response. Like those kids would have been interrogated. They wouldn't have went home.
Yep. They would have been arrested. Look at
They wouldn't have went home.
The Central
They
Park
they
Five.
lawyered up after the fact because they think it's gonna be a civil case.
Right.
But we would have had the lawyer up to get up out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's different.
It
It's
is.
different.
It
I
is.
understand it's a child, and I can empathize and I can sympathize, and color would make no difference because a child is a child is a child. But the response of America is different from my Black child. It's different.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Wow. So this is a really really deep topic and a deep subject. If you're listening to us, make sure we do our shameless plug here. If you're listening to us, we are She Speaks, and She Speaks podcast, where we speak from a Black woman's perspective. And today we're talking about She Speaks for our children, and we're emphasizing on our spotlighting the situation with Nolan Wells. So we're talking about that, especially with all four of us being mothers and understanding the situation and being mothers of minority children. How do we have those conversations with our children? What does community look like? And if you are listening to the sound of our voice, whether you're on Facebook and all of our other networks, or if you're here with us on in the platform, feel free to ask a question, or you could also come on live and talk about it. I did see we had some men come in. If you want to talk about it as well, but this is a topic as my co-host stated, Dietrich stated, this is everybody's child. This is not just a Black family child. This is everybody's child. And I want to thank all those content creators of all persuasions who are highlighting this situation and making sure the name of Nolan Wells does not die and that justice will be served. And so I'm going to take it on back. I see you have the script. I don't want to get off because I know I will start talking about something. So take us on back.
I don't know where we are now.
Can I ask a question before you go back to the script, Deidre?
Yes.
Do y'all think, okay, so my son is going to a predominantly, he going to a PWI this fall.
Mm.
And so, in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, don't you be the only one somewhere.
Yeah.
So conversations, right? So we do have.
You gotta have it. You gotta have those conversations.
You gotta have
But
conversations.
did he ask you why?
You gotta be transparent.
Did he ask you why you said that?
So we must have been watching something on TV. I might have been watching something regarding the Nolan Wells story, but it was right after that. And when I say y'all, my heart was broke. Like I could almost cry now. My heart was broke. And he not coming home.
Right.
But y'all gonna be disrespectful to his parents. You gonna say he was drinking. He might have been drinking. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
they said it was out of character if that's what he was doing. Y'all, it just hurt my soul. Hurt my soul.
Let me ask you a question, Maya. Would it? Because was there a question? You was gonna ask me a question.
Y'all think I'm wrong for telling my son don't be the only one?
Oh no,
No.
Even if it wasn't, he wasn't going to a PWI. Any college or university of that's not familiar, he's not familiar with the people. I would say, don't go on your own. Even with my daughter being just graduating from college back at home and with her friends, y'all go together now, and they all grown. They 21, 22.
Exactly.
And
I told him don't be the only Black face.
Okay.
Somewhere.
So I think if we're gonna have a conversation, we have to be we have to have the conversation. That's period. That's hands down. We have to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But we do have to be mindful not to invoke hate in the hearts of our children, and invoke fear in the hearts of our children. Right. You can move through this world, and you can move through this world with different people, and you can be safe your whole life doing that. But I think you said a mouthful, Maya, when you said he has intuition and discernment. I think that those are key. You got to have that. I think that we have to bring different faces and different people to the table because we can't address this in a
silo.
that. Yep, cannot.
You're right. You're
Um,
right.
we're talking in circles, and the reality is he could leave with his own friends and not come back. A couple years back, I want to say I can't remember if it was Clark or if it was Spelman. But one of the schools downtown, a young lady's roommate killed her.
Yes,
That
that
roommate
was.
looked exactly like her.
You're right.
They were attending an HBCU. So this isn't an issue of race. This really is an issue of how do we talk to our children so that they're safe in this world when they're out of our presence and or with us, because we're, who knows who's safe and who isn't. But how do we have these conversations so that you are being safe when you're out and about? And it doesn't matter who you're with or what that person looks with. I want you to come home. I want you home at the end of the day of the adventure, whatever it is. I want you to come back like every other parent wants their child to come back. How do we stop these tragedies? I mean, really, if you watch the news any day, you watch the news here in Atlanta, you're gonna see 9 times out of 10, some of our children's blood spilled on the street. It's not
You're
being
right.
spilled by most of the time by someone of another race. That's us, right? So we gotta this case that we haven't been on topic. I don't think the whole show, but the case that we're
but it all connects though. It's all connected because I was just talking back and forth, and you probably gonna see it in y'all inbox. But remember Shaquella Robinson?
Yeah.
25-year-old black woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, went to Mexico with her friends, and she was the one who had the money, paid for the trip, and they saw she had all the money, and it was all African.
Never made it back.
And they all came back, but she did.
And they videoed
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Videoed it. Part took her money, had a good old time in Mexico.
Yes.
She didn't come back, but they did. And they, and I think because they are, this new generation videotapes everything. And because they had videotapes and stuff like that, that's how they found what happened. The parents found out what happened to their child.
They was beating her and everything.
So that was in 2022. And so
You're right.
those are stories where I think you kind of mentioned it again, going back. You said it first, and then you just reiterated, Deetra, that discernment and intuition. We gotta pray that our children have that discernment and have that intuition. We as women, we have that female, that women intuition that we know. Sometimes we second guess it. We know it's there, but when those red flags come up, we have to trust our gut. Like, nah. This is not right, because there's going to be times where our children are going to be the only one. I'm going to tell you, I can say that, and it's kind of still on topic, but I can say this, but I can tell you when I was in high school, I was always the only one in everything. The only black cheerleader, the only black in pageants, I was the only one in everything. And it didn't make it good that I won a lot of the competitions and being the only one in the room. I received a lot of hate, but I had to also learn how to handle myself in those situations. So don't have your children to stray away from or avoid the situation, but how can they handle themselves when they do get in that situation? Because if you don't teach them, or they're not around it, then how are they going to react? So they have to learn. And I think those situations help me to deal with what I'm going through now, even the political world. It kind of helped me navigate through those spaces. And so we have to kind of teach our kids, and as Deetra said, don't teach them a heart of hate, but show them what to look for and how to get out of that situation when it comes around.
Exactly.
And so I'm real careful when I talk to Amir, because one of the traits of being on the spectrum is the easiest way that I explain it to people is they see the world in black and white. It's either black or it's white. And in reality, the world is gray.
Right. There's a gray
Most
area.
people move in the gray area. You're not black, you're not white, they're moving in the gray. So that's when I have to have those deeper conversations with him. But thank God he's inquisitive enough that he'll ask those questions. And so we can get past that blanket statement, right? And then you truly understand my reasoning behind saying what I said.
And so we have to we have to be open enough. We have to have open minds enough that our children are safe coming to us, though, right? Like we can't be so dictatorial in our parenting style that our children are afraid to come talk to us. I think we have to have open communication with them. When my child was younger, I told him, listen, no matter what it is, tell me what it is. I said,
That's
and the
right.
first thing I want you to tell me is that one thing that someone told you not to tell your mother, because I'm the one person on this earth who will hurt somebody for you long before I'm
That part.
you. Right. So tell me what it is. And I said, mommy probably will get mad. There's some things you're gonna tell me that's gonna upset me. But that's what I want you to tell me anyway. And we'll talk through it.
Right.
And do have consequences. So if you've done wrong, still tell me. And you gotta, everything has a reaction. So, you may have paid, but still tell me, come to me. Now, he got older and he never forgot that. So I've heard all kind of things that I pray. I just wish I never, my ears, but still they have to be able to tell us, right? Because if they can't come to us
right.
and tell us when things are wrong, by the time we find out, it'll be when they don't come home. It'll be too late then, right? So we gotta make sure that we're available enough as parents that our children feel free, feel comfortable coming to us.
Exactly.
And so do you think, okay, so of course we don't know Nolan Wells. We don't know what type of friendship and relationships that he had with these people. I'm assuming that some of them were his teammates at some point since he was in sports. I don't know if they were on his college team or not. But do you think he ever felt uneasy?
I don't think he probably did in the beginning because he probably went to school with these kids. I would assume that he knew them because he was going to school with them, but he didn't know them being out of the presence of other individuals, adults or other familiar people. He didn't know, I guess, being away because they went on some kind of secluded type of island.
Right. So he had to be comfortable
I
being
think
around.
away
Well,
from
and I
there.
think they said he had been there before. That wasn't even his first time there. He had been there. That's why there was no probably hesitation, right, on his parents'
Right.
part to go on and
Right.
let him go because he had left and he had come back home.
Right.
But what happened on that particular day?
Right. And they're not saying.
So back to the intuition and discernment. I believe it was you, Elena, who said we have to teach our children to listen to that when it happens, right? You can have it and ignore it, and it does you no good. But we do have to teach them, listen, those signals, that feeling you get, that's telling you something. When you feel uncomfortable, don't do it. And they have to be courageous enough to stand apart from
Riverside just made some new improvements to
to stand apart from the crowd and to say, you know what, now I'm gonna sit it out this time. I'm gonna sit this one out.
Right.
Because that's hard as teenagers and young adults, is to be the one to be like, no, I don't want to, you know. But they have to have the courage to be able to stand apart at times and say, I'll sit this out.
Right.
All right. Where does anybody know where we're supposed to be at this point?
I think we're at the part where it asks, what should community leaders be doing to help our children in the future to understand the situation? It also included the church. It said community leaders, activists, and how should others
Schools,
get involved?
coaches, community leaders, yep,
Get
family.
involved.
I don't think anyone in our community, I haven't seen anybody in our community state it publicly. There might be some private conversations being had, but I haven't seen anything remotely addressing this.
What do you mean?
Meaning, I don't even know what you could potentially do, because
it may be
what would you
hard.
expect the community and leaders to do?
Well, it may be hard for schools because there's certain policies put in place. So, of course, that would kind of be a hard conversation for the school. But the churches and the community leaders can get involved, especially those who actually mentor our black males, our youth, to show them different ways that they can stay safe. Probably do some different type scenarios and pique their minds to see, okay, if this happens, what you going to do in this situation? How are
Right.
you going to protect yourself? Even teaching them self-defense classes, because we all need to. I probably need to go take one myself. We self-defense classes just in case something like this occurred. What would you do? A lot of us, when it's dealing with water, though, a lot of us don't swim. I know I don't, and
I'm a
so
fish.
maybe we need to start. Another one is making sure that our children know how to swim, just in case they
Yes.
have to swim somewhere. So there's various things that they actually can do to help our children, but it has to be put together and put together to where we have to create these type of trainings and be comfortable talking about it. That's going to be number one. Are they
Right.
comfortable talking about these situations
Right.
and letting our children
So
know these things happen?
so is this exclusive for our children, or is this for everybody?
It should be
Because
for
if
everybody.
I look at my community, I don't know.
It should be for everybody, and this is
Well, I mean, it should be for everybody, but I'm a part of a sorority where you know, we help the black community,
mhm.
but we also, as especially if you're part of the Divine Nine, I know different organizations have youth symposiums and mentoring programs where we do talk to our children about safety and being out, police, with police, having that conversation, having police come in and talk to our children. So we do have those conversations with our youth. We don't tell them don't be a part of it.
Do you
Again,
think that's
we
okay?
are there.
Do you think that's because of how we were raised by baby boomers? And how, because this generation is so open to talk about a lot of things that we were not prone to talk about due to our parents kept a lot of stuff from us that we're not going to talk about that. And so
Uh-huh.
it might be different. Like, and I'm trying not to get off topic, but it's relating to it.
It's hard.
But like today, my daughter and I had I think I raised another activist in my house. It's two activists and organizers. Oh my God. So we had a conversation today in regards to the young man or the young boy who went to school today with a skirt on. Okay. And so Gigi shook her head. And so I'm
Oh, I
not
did
going,
it for the record.
I'm not going to go into the topic, but what
No,
I, but
talk
my,
about it. Talk about it. I may not, but you go ahead.
but I'm not actually, I'm not going to talk about the topic. But the point is, we had two separate opinions. She thought it was, and I have, it's not against, let me put this disclaimer. I'm not talking about the gender of the person or the way they feel. My conversation was about that the school has guidelines and policies that you have to follow. If you don't want to follow them, then you petition or you fight to have those policies changed. But you knew the policy before you brought your child to the school. You knew what it was about. Everybody else followed the same policy. She was like, no, he should be able to live his life and do whatever, you know. So they have a different mindset from, and I understand her concept, they have a different mindset from us because of how we were raised. So we would have to figure out a way of talking to this generation to where it doesn't make them shut down and to
Right,
hear us.
right,
So that's
right.
where I was going. I wasn't going to fully talk about that situation, but I was going to give you what we were talking about in that moment. But she had her thought process, and it made me, while I was driving, it made me think like, whoa, okay, this generation didn't go through a lot of things that we had to go through, and we didn't go through a lot of things that our parents had to
So
go
they
through, right?
gonna
And keep it
start
moving.
going through.
So each generation has suffered certain things to where we have a thought process versus
Right.
we went through and fought through a lot of things, and my parents' generation as well, that they don't get us. You see what I'm saying? They don't get our thought process. And they're like, why I shouldn't be on this boat with so and so and so and so, and why this one can't do that. They're the why generation. Why? And
Right.
I get it because they were not raised like us. So anything that we bring to them is going to have to be a thought process, and also include them in the conversation to plan it, because their thinking is totally different from us because of how we were raised.
Right.
So two things. I think that they're exposed to so much more than we were because they had the internet
The
and we had
internet.
encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right. So
encyclopedias,
and our
newspapers.
encyclopedias only had so much information.
And they
But
were
they have
outdated.
right. By the time you get the book, a new
I
one's
got some
already
over
out
here.
there. Yeah.
I didn't
But
throw away.
but these kids, this now the world. So these kids would so anybody that came after the internet will never know what we really know. They don't have a clue what the Dewey Decimal System is or a card catalog, none of that, right? But they also have the whole world at their fingertips, something we didn't have, right? So we were more sheltered and we were more limited to our area. So Maya, I think you said you were from Idaho. Where'd you say it?
Oh Lord.
What did you
Some
say?
good potatoes.
Idaho potatoes.
It's the Hawkeye State, Iowa.
Iowa. But
Corn.
so you were familiar with that, and I don't know because you're probably much younger than me, but
No.
okay, well for you, so then what you had access to coming up was kind of limited to that area, that geographical location. Not these kids. No matter where they are, they have access to
the
everywhere
world.
in the world online, right?
Right.
So they're exposed to more. They get more viewpoints. They hear more opinions and different sides. So it's hard to then place them to put before them any propaganda and be like, this is what is as factual, because they can go to the internet and find 100 different opinions than what you just said. This is a fact, right? They told encyclopedia told us, okay, this is the fact. We wrote in our little report, this is the fact because it's in the encyclopedia, and nobody can really challenge it because the new book is, even though it's out there, we don't have it yet, right?
Right.
So they have an opportunity to have different opinions, much different opinions, because they have access to more to be able to acquire it. But we were kind of limited to what Mom and them told us. This is what it is.
They wanted us to know.
Yeah.
So if I want to be totally truthful about it, I had to sit down and think about it. I said, most of us had some type of church in us when we were young, whether you wanted it or you didn't. Either your grandmama was taking you, your mama was taking you, your auntie was taking you.
Yep.
Everybody went to vacation Bible school. That was somewhere you went every summer for a week or whatever.
And it was fun.
These children don't have Jesus.
That's true.
They have not been introduced. So they have nothing to lean on. So they blowing in the wind.
I don't know. It depends. Because, well, let me not go there. Okay.
Go there. Go there.
I'm not going to go there. Because they may have a different Jesus than we do. So let me just put it
I'm
a spiritual being.
I'm speaking whether you was Church of God in Christ, whether you was Baptist, whether you was AME, whether you was Presbyterian, whether you was Catholic, you had, whether you was Muslim, everybody that I knew growing up, right? They, even if you was just CME Christians, Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter, even if you were that, you had some type of foundation. You might not have been a Christian. You might not even have been a true believer.
But they use that Bible to make them feel superior against others. But go ahead.
So I'll agree with you on that. We're gonna have to have write that topic down.
Okay.
So write that topic down.
Okay.
So I do agree. But for most people, they believe in a higher being, whatever
Right.
that is to them, right? I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. That ain't for me to say. But
Mm-hmm.
uh if I look at it now, children, they don't even go to church Christmas, Mother Day, and Easter. They don't. There's nothing. So if you have nothing and you believe in nothing, you can easily get got.
Right,
Be
right.
That's
persuaded.
just
You
my
don't have a
opinion.
foundation, exactly.
Hmm.
That's
Okay,
the hey.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
How do we? Because I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get on topic if it takes me all the rest of the night. Um, I think we just did what's the community role? Like, what's our responsibility to this?
Right. As
Yeah.
a
That
community,
one, yeah, we
right.
talked about that one.
And we did the churches and schools. Okay, hold on. Now we're gonna go to 8.
Oh,
Gonna go to 8. No, that was 8. We're gonna
Yeah,
go to. We're gonna go.
what can we do to protect our children moving forward?
Okay,
Yeah. What
go
can we
ahead.
do?
no, this one we did not talk about, and I was just reading this when I was pulling up the facts about the Nolan Wells case.
Uh-huh.
Why do cases involving young black people often carry a deeper historical and emotional weight?
You're right.
And I was pulling up when I was telling you about Shaquila, when I was talking about her.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
reading more while you all were having your commentary. And do you know that case has not been solved? That no one, even though they had the video of them beating up on her, that case that was in 2022, and they said even though they had the recordings and everything, no one has been convicted for her death
And they were
Wow.
out of the country,
out of the country.
right?
Mm-hmm. And no, but the U.S. Department of Justice took it over, and they brought the body back and did all they had to do. The only way that the parents are receiving any type of justice, they had to file a lawsuit in regards to the wrongful
Wow.
doing, and so I guess more of a civil. They're getting their money back through the civil case, but the one of the victims has filed a appeal since then and filed an appeal to try to stop that. Filed a appeal concerning a court ruling in that case, and they did that this year. This year, matter of fact,
I
and
So not
think
the
that
so
was the
but
guy.
yeah,
and
one of the
so,
alleged perpetrators, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. That
And
was the
so
guy, I
the
think.
parents have not received justice or closure to their child's case, and that has happened with so many black deaths. And I don't want to say it's a racial thing. We're trying to stay open, but I think that's why it's so emotional with us as minorities.
You're
African
right.
Americans. The minorities mean more than many, but just with African Americans, black and brown people, because we see a lot of times when our bodies are when there's death, wrongful deaths, that the case does not. They're not justice has not been sought, and
Right.
so they're either the case is still open or it was closed with nobody being convicted. That always happens majority of the time with us, and that's my point in that situation. I think that's why it's so emotional for us, and also we as a people, we take on those responsibilities, especially as mothers. So that's just for me. I would love to hear you all's take on that.
Well, I mean, through history, I mean, unfortunately, justice was never, well, let me not say never. Justice wasn't always on our side. I mean, we probably could go further back than Emmett Till, but Emmett Till is maybe one that comes to mind when it comes to children and death. The oldest case I'm thinking about, but I just feel it's just a history that we've had, and we just don't justice haven't always been on our side. And unfortunately, I guess it just goes back to slavery. They don't want us to talk about that. how we fought to get the same rights as our white counterparts. But it's just that's how America is and always will be, unfortunately. That's why we need judges like Deidre in place so that we can have people that look like us to, just to help through the justice system, basically.
And let me state this before anybody goes on to the next portion or speak on this. The views expressed are those of each speaker and do not represent any court, employer, agency, or organization.
Right.
Our judicial hosts participate solely in a personal educational capacity and will not discuss pending cases or confidential matters. This program is for informational purposes only and does not provide legal advice. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Just want to make sure I put that disclaimer there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. And I go back. So Tamla, when you were saying Emmett Till, that's the first thing. I think that's what we learned young, right?
Right.
I really couldn't even watch that movie all the way through.
Me either. I can watch.
Like I don't know. My parents were part of the civil rights movement, so I grew up kind of different than a lot of people, So, I saw things that most little kids didn't see. Like I saw people get beat up by the police and come in bloody, and they have to take them to the hospital so they can get. I saw that. I was 5. I was little. We in there meditating, and it's crazy stuff. I don't
Did that
know.
change your way of thinking by seeing that at an early age? Did that
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But my ex-husband was police, so hey, I'm a realist.
Right.
Nothing.
Recording in progress.
I'm a realist, and I don't have to have people. I didn't actually read it all in a book. I saw it for myself. I saw it for myself, and we moved around when I was little. We lived in Pennsylvania, we lived in Iowa, we lived in Kentucky. So I lived places and different people, right? So it wasn't like I was stuck and had one viewpoint. I just know people can be jealous, evil, and certain people are protected and certain people aren't. That's it.
That's awesome right there to hear.
So I was keeping a running tally because I wanted us to do more than just talk about what happened. I feel like we should offer something, or else we're just a group of friends who are having a conversation and with no benefit. So some of the things that I jotted down as we were speaking, what could we do? How can we stop this from continuing to happen? First thing I wrote down is we need to return to the village concept. We need to know our neighbors, and we need to get back together with our family. Like once upon a time, family wasn't just the people at your address. It was grandmom and them. All your cousins grew up with you. Most of your play cousins. You found out when you got grown that y'all not really related by blood. You know what I'm saying? It was all those people. So we got to return to the village so that there are more eyes on our children and that there are more hands and there's more love. Because when people are invested in a child, they're less likely to let something happen to them. And if something happens, they're less likely to stand by and not say anything. So return to the village. The second thing I jotted down was this was Maya speaking, and she said, when it comes to special needs children, the conversation even is different. But she said he has intuition and discernment. That's my takeaway for the night. And that we need to teach our children, though, that listen to that still small voice that you hear, or that little tinge in your stomach, whatever it is. And when you see something and you believe something, that you just get this feeling about this person, believe that and move with that in mind. Intuition and discernment. 3, we got to have more conversations with not just us sitting on this podcast talking, but more community conversations. We need to bring in community leaders and community partners and build a coalition of support for our children.
Yes.
4, I said we have to be, as parents, be available and open so that our kids can come to us, that they can trust coming to us without fear, really a real retribution. 5, we need to teach our children to say no, and that it's okay to stand apart from the crowd. We have to teach them to be alert. We have to let them, and I say children because that's just telling my age. I mean, our young people, let them know that they have a voice. That, and this should have been number 1, bring God back into the lives of our youth and our young people, so that there's purpose beyond beyond the right now. And then to seek justice where it may be found, and never stop fighting for it is what I added. Never ever give up on justice because it needs to be there.
Right.
So anybody have anything they want to add to our?
No, you summarized that very well, sister.
Yes, that was it.
You summarized that very well.
Well, then we want to thank you. It is 8:22. I don't know if we're early or late. I want to thank you for joining.
We on time.
That's it. We on time.
Right. This conversation was about our children, their safety, and the search for truth. We're keeping Nolan Wells' family in our thoughts and prayers as they seek answers and as they seek justice. Our hearts collectively go out to that family. To any young person that comes across this or is listening, your life matters, your safety matters, your voice matters. You can always call home, check in, let somebody know where you are. Trust your instincts and choose people who protect you and who also choose you.
Right.
Never be afraid to ask for help.
Right.
To every parent, guardian, teacher, coach, community leader, let this be a reminder that our children need more than rules. They need relationship, trust, guidance, and safe spaces to be honest.
Yes.
Until next time, I am Deetra Butler.
I'm Elena Sanders.
I'm Maya Allen.
Tamala Phillips.
And we are She Speaks, and tonight, She Speaks for our children.
She speaks with power, she speaks with grace. Truth from a black woman's place. From our lives, from our view, we bring the real story straight to you. Elena Sanders, Deetra Butler, Maya Allen, Tamala Phillips too. For real voices, one clear sound. She speaks is life. We are standing proud. She speaks true. She speaks life. Black women shining bold and bright. She speaks. She leads. We came through. Real conversation made for you. She speaks from a black woman's perspective.